here she is talking about Biden last night when she was being interviewed. Here's what she had to say.
Well, I have great sympathy for any women who bring forth an allegation. I'm a big, strong supporter of the MeToo movement. I think it's been made a great contribution to our country, and I do support Joe Biden. I'm satisfied with how he has responded. I know him. I was proud to endorse him on Monday. Very proud to endorse him, and so I'm satisfied with that.
I mean, he hasn't, to be clear, he hasn't addressed it. His campaign has addressed it, but he has not directly addressed it. Should he directly, publicly address it?
You know, it's a matter that he has to deal with, but I am impressed with the people who worked for him at the time saying they absolutely never heard one iota of information about this. Nobody ever brought forth a claim or had anybody else tell them about such a claim. But again, we have an important election at hand, one that is, I think, one of the most important ones that we've had. We say that every election, but I think this one is the most crucial. And I supported him because he's a person of great values, integrity, authenticity, imagination, and a connection to the American people. He understands the kitchen table issues of America's working families. His father lost his job when he was a boy. He knows what that feels like for a family.
Integrity, authenticity, imagination. I don't know what that has to do with anything. He's being accused of rape, and your response is, look, the guy's got a great imagination. What? Speaking of people losing their minds, Nancy Pelosi is definitely in that category. I mean, she is 372 years old, so what do you expect? Then Stacey Abrams, who declared "I believe women" during the Kavanaugh hearings, has amended that statement to "I believe Joe Biden." And here's what she had to say to CNN.
I believe that women deserve to be heard, and I believe that they need to be listened to. But I also believe that those allegations have to be investigated by credible sources. The New York Times did a deep investigation, and they found that the accusation was not credible. I believe Joe Biden. I believe that he is a person who has demonstrated that his love of family, his love of our community has been made perfectly clear through his work as a congressional leader and as an American leader.
She's, of course, groveling to him because she wants the vice president job. And if she doesn't get it, you're going to notice how quickly her tune changes. Okay, Joe Biden's going to go from a great guy, decent guy, hardworking guy, so on and so forth, to a drooling racist. That's what's going to happen. If she doesn't get the job, he's going to not only be a rapist in her mind, but also a racist. So she'll switch her tact pretty quickly, just like Kamala Harris has, by the way. Remember, Kamala Harris was basically accusing Joe Biden of cozying up with segregationists, and she was in tears about it at a debate. And now Biden's a great guy, just wonderful. Love him so much. Now, joining the hypocrites parade are 10 supposed pro-woman groups, such as Planned Parenthood and the National Organization for Women and others. Now, these, of course, are not really pro-women groups, but this is how they tout themselves. And they've all refused to provide a comment on the Biden allegations. The founder of the MeToo movement, Tarana Burke, has also declined to condemn Joe Biden or offer support to his alleged rape victim. In a lengthy and rather circumspect Twitter thread by Tarana Burke, she went on a long thing about it, just a really long way of saying that she has no moral courage whatsoever. And then she said that Biden can, quote, demonstrate what it looks like to be both accountable and electable. Translation, yeah, he might be a rapist, but I'm still voting for him. Alyssa Milano helped to popularize the movement and bring it to the forefront of the national conversation. But her first instinct was to leap to the defense of decent man Joe Biden. And then she even said, and I thought this was great, talk about courage, she says that she's going to prefer to remain silent about it. I think Joe Biden's a nice guy. I'm just going to remain silent on this one. That was her response. Even the Time's Up Legal Defense Fund, established in response to the Me Too movement, declined to take Reed's case. Now, all of this adds up to what perceptive people knew all along. The Me Too movement is and has always been a sham. It may have succeeded in bringing down a few bad men like Harvey Weinstein, but that was never the point. That was incidental. The point was to advance the ideological agenda of left-wing feminism. Believe Women was very useful to that end, right? If you want to advance left-wing feminism, believe everything women say, men are a bunch of rapists, that's, as far as left-wing feminism goes, most of the time, that's the talking point you want to go with. And that was a very useful talking point, as long as the women who were supposed to be believing are accusing actors, moguls, athletes, Republicans, really anybody in that realm is fine. I mean, even if it's like Harvey Weinstein, who's a liberal Democrat, still, they're fine taking him down because he's not an elected Democrat. He's an easy villain, and so they're fine with that. But as soon as a Democrat is the target, then particularly one who's about to face Donald Trump in a presidential election, the slogans and standards of the Me Too movement are no longer useful. So they are summarily discarded and replaced by this credulous yammering about the unimpeachable decency of a man who has no compunction about grabbing a woman and sniffing her hair even as the cameras are rolling. This dramatic reversal, of course, doesn't surprise anybody who was alive and conscious during the Clinton years. Democrats back then valiantly defended a slimy creep who was accused of assaulting, raping, and harassing a whole series of women. 2 decades before they started shouting about believe all women, they were viciously descending upon and tearing apart any woman who dared speak about the violence and degradation she allegedly suffered at Bill Clinton's grubby hands. Now they're back to those old tricks again, so they've just reverted back to it. This is nothing unprecedented. After a brief period of Democrats and leftists pretending to give a damn about rape victims, they are now back to doubting and shaming alleged rape victims. So these are two-faced hypocrites, and the Me Too movement was just another political game they played, and they've now abandoned it. Well, I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Matt Walsh Show. If you did, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right down there so you can stay up to date on all of our future content.